Hey, welcome back. So let's set things right a little bit here. The first thing I want to do is change my access to from user to admin, being the first record here. So what I'll do is go to my table, and this is a users table, and in the row here, let me add admin. So just use lowercase for these rows. It's much easier to remember. So now I'm an admin, but I have to log in again for that to be saved in the session. But before we go there, since I already have access to this area here, if I come back to the user can function, you see that if somebody is an admin, they automatically have access to everything. So that's fine. So what we need to do now is inside the rows view, down here where we are listing the rows, this is where we are looping to show the permissions. What I want to do is that right here, I'm just going to ask the question, if a let's put an if statement here. Let's see. So I want this to be different for the admin. So I'll duplicate this part like this, okay? Then I'll put an if statement. So I'm just going to say if the row name, the row right there, is equal to admin, like this. Let me try string to lower, like that, to make sure that it's in its, whether it's not lowercase or not, we still lowercase it before making a comparison. Okay, and then we can put an end if. Let me grab this end for each and put that here. Save it to end if. And since this is a loop, where is the loop here anyway? Okay, the loop is for permissions. So what I want to do is write in, if statement is correct, then we are going to stop the looping. So what I will do is put another if statement here and say break, like so. So break will stop this loop completely. Because if the row is equal to admin, then we don't need to display all the permissions that admin can get. So we just need to display one. So let's see that in action. As you can see, it only displays one, but I don't want it to be this view categories at all. First of all, let's remove this if statement. This should be checked by default. We don't even need a name for this because, or even a value, because we're not going to use it when saving at all. So let's remove those. We'll leave that class, we'll leave the type. The ID isn't important either, but we can leave it there. What are we looking for? Yeah, so what I'm looking for is this part here. I just want to write all permissions, or with a small letter like this. So 4, that's fine. Okay, so this is all I need. So if I now refresh, that's all I get, all permissions, right? So I want to grant access to all permissions, and it's always checked. But then let's disable it. We'll just say disabled, like that. That way the user knows not to tamper with that one. So the admin has absolute access by default. So all permissions like that. So with that in mind, it will at least free up some space for other things here, instead of those useless things that don't even matter when it comes to the admin. So this is all good. Admin gets absolute access. That's nice. But while I'm still on user access here, and I want to remove the add and view categories. So let me save this. Okay, so that's saved. So now if I go to categories, I can't see anything, but let me remove the menu item as well, because there's no need to show me that if I don't have access to it. So view categories, not access there. So all I need to do is now use the user can. Let me grab this. So now let's go to the admin includes, right? Which is the navigation. So down here, I'm looking for, wait, is this right? I think it's the admin header. Let's see here. Come on, come on, come on. Okay, so there we go. We have categories here. So here I can put this if statement and then put the end if statement like so. And let's move these babies inside. Here it's view categories, just like that. So if user can view categories, then show him that. Otherwise, don't. So you see there, I can't see that anymore. But if I give myself access, save, now I can see it. And if I click, it actually does something. So back here. But if I don't give myself access, then it's gone. So the point here is that before you, when giving permission, don't just hide the link, because if I click on this link, there's an actual link in the URL here. So let me copy that. So imagine I just hide this link. Let me remove permission there. So the link is gone, but a user can always just type the link in there and access the page. See, even though the link is not here, they can just type it there or check their history. So you need to limit the access first of the actual page before you hide the actual link, because you never know, you may miss a link somewhere and somebody will click that and they'll have access. So even this here, if I click new category, they still can't do anything, even though they do have access to the page. So if I click there, I can also type edit in there and put one maybe, or just one, or still I don't have access to edit that. So that's much better. Okay, so back to user roles. This is what we've got. So okay, this is pretty good here. All I can do now is, all we need now really is to add stuff here that will disappear when I log in as a user compared to when I log in as admin. So let me remove all access for the user. For now, the user should just be able to edit their profile or something like that. So let me save, maybe add courses, something like that. So let me save these permissions. Now that I've saved, I've locked myself out of this because I don't have permission anymore. I can't add a new role. I can't do any of that. Even though I can see user roles, which I should hide now. So let me grab this as well. Where's user roles? User roles is right here. So I'll do that, view rows. Then put the end if as usual. And then let's push everything over like that. This way now I can't even see the link. So we are hiding things one by one here. So when you log into the admin section, you only see what you have access to. Okay, so now let's go back to the home page. That way I can log in, log out. Okay, so we have problems here, good. Class auth not found, so no problem here. Let's go to the logout page. Where is this? This is indeed in the logout controller. So logout, and it's looking for auth. Yeah, so auth is inside, where is it? Core? Namespace model. Okay, so let's do model like this. That should solve our problem. Okay, now we are successfully logged out. Let's try to log in, and this time we are logging in as admin. If I go to the dashboard, I can see categories and user roles. Then I can start giving out permissions from here. So we're just going to need a second user so that we can compare what that user has to begin with. And if I go back to my row, that's that there. Okay, so that's fine. Wait a minute. Okay, so now that we have user rows here, things can change a little bit here. Because here in our table, we are saving the actual row name, which should not be like that. Because let's say in the user rows table here, let's say I'm set as manager here, but then we edit manager to something else. So, or user right now, maybe I'll set to user, we edit it to something else. That's a problem because in my own account, that won't change at all. So this is not sustainable. I'll remain as admin or manager or something like that. So instead we should put a row ID. So let's go back and change the structure here. Let's click on change for row and change it to an integer instead. So I'll remove the length. The default value, maybe we can set it to 1 just so it defaults to 1. Let me save that. Come back to browse. And row is 0 now, but let's set it to 2. Okay, I'll leave it there. Okay. Now the reason I've set it to 2 is because admin is ID number 2. Okay, great. The reason I'm putting admin at 2 is because when we sign up somebody, they start with the 1, which will make them a user. Then you can move them to admin as 2 there. Right, so with that in mind now, things have changed a little bit because now the rows are not retrieved as we used to, like this. So here, instead of row is equal to admin, it's supposed to be row is equal to 1 or something. So because once we get row is going to return an integer instead. So things have changed, which makes our query much simpler. So let me copy this. I may need it right here. Let's see. I think we can change things a little bit here. Okay, so once we grab the row, this is the row that we get. But if we want to check if a user is an admin, we'll do this instead. We'll say auth is admin, like that. So if the user is admin, let's return true. That's how we change it to. But that row, we will use it here as an ID. So now we don't have the text row, we have an ID that comes as row. So instead of us having to select ID, we don't need to do this. We can just use it directly. Row ID is equal to that row over there. So all these changes to that. But wait a minute, was there any? Okay, so disabled is already there. So that's cool. Let me do this. Let me move that here. Okay, so select permissions from permissions map. This where disabled 0 and row ID is equal to row. So that works just fine now because the row ID is what we carry originally in the current session. So this works all good. The only problem now is we can't check for an admin from here. We need to use, let's create another function that has a whole lot. So auth is admin, sorry. Let's go to the auth class and create that function. Let me just make sure it's not there. Oh, it's actually there. Look at that. So we can use that to check is admin. Now things have changed a little bit. We can't just say is equal to admin because now this is an integer, right? So we need to read from the database to make sure that this user is really an admin. So I'm just going to add a query Okay, so it already had query there. That's nice. Okay, so now what we are looking for is a row. So select, let's see here, select ID from rows. No, not ID. Select row from rows where where ID is equal to ID. I think this is the query, limit 1. Okay, so the reason we're using this query is we are reading from the rows table. Let me explain this a little bit. Let's come back to the user table. So you see the user table has a row the row is now an ID. I should have put it as row ID, but that's fine. So this ID is 2. So we need to know if this 2 represents an admin. And how do we know that? We go to the rows table and check what is written in 2. Is it admin? If it is, then this one is an admin for real. So here we're going to say row. So select from that, and then let's read from the database. Now, how do we read from the database when we are in here? I don't want to extend database here. Now, the thing is, okay, no, let me not complicate things. I wanted to start using, what's this? Traits and all that, but I think I'll just confuse things a little bit here. So what we would do instead, let's create a new DB class, DB. Or what we can do to avoid all that, we can actually extend database here if we want. Okay, we can just say extends database. Oops, like that. That way we don't have to instantiate a new database class, etc., etc. The only problem is, wait, these are static functions, are they? Yes, they are. Okay, let's see if this works still, even in this mode. If it doesn't, we'll change it. So we'll say row is equal to, we can use this now because we've extended database. So it's as good as we're using the database class. And I'm going to add that query there. Let me add ID, and that ID is going to come from here. So let me just say ID is equal to what's in the row, like that. ID. Okay, so row is equal to that, and let me grab this. Only if we return a result should we even bother. Let me duplicate that, do that, and move this in. So if row returned a result, that's good, but remember that we are just grabbing the row name itself. So then we can use that to compare and just say if row, which is that column, is equal to admin, then return true. But let's make sure we do string to lower, just to make sure even though it's capitalized, should still be acceptable. Okay, cool. Now let's refresh and see what errors we get. So failed to open stream, no such file, database models, does not exist. So if we go to the core database and class database, it is not in any it's not in any namespace. So what we will do is we'll say use, wait there, use/database, like so. Okay, that way at least we bring it in from the main situation. Okay, wait, but why Am I seeing nothing? Okay, there we go. Auth class auth not found functions 244. Wait a minute, what's going on? Functions 244. Oh, sorry, my bad. I need to do this, or I can just say use. Let's see. Let me cut this and just say use and auth. That way I can use it like this. Unexpected use. Okay, so it doesn't like me doing this inside functions, I guess. This not good. Okay, no problem, not to worry. Let's just put them right here. That should solve the problem. Wait, what have I done this time? Oh boy. Put double A there. Okay, using this when not in object context. This is, where is this? Auth line 51. Let's see. Auth line 51. Where are we? Right there. Okay, so it's very understandable that it would bring that error because this should only be used when we've instantiated an object. Now, auth, we never instantiate this one because all our functions are static. That's why I was skeptical that it's going to work. So I was right. So what we'll do, not to worry, is we're just going to say db is equal to new. Let's put a slash there because it belongs to the home namespace, the base namespace, and let's change this to db. That way we instantiate it. And then there's no need for us to use this or even extend database. All right, cool. And that solves the problem. Right, so now I don't have permission anymore because I'm no longer considered an admin unless I go to the home and log out and log in again. Let's try that. Let's go back to the dashboard. Okay, so we have a few problems here. Attempt to read property row on array. Where is that? Auth on line 53. Where? Right there. So what is it saying? Attempt to read property row on array. So it's telling me that the result of this is an array, and I'm trying to read. Wait, am I using arrays on this thing here? Let's go to database. Type is object, right? Object is the original. Why is this happening again? Let's see, row, query. Let's see, it says on line 53 here. Oh, I see what's going on. Because this returns an array of objects. So this is an array. Let me go to database and see what functions are here. Is query. Nothing more. Okay, I see. You know, it would have been a good idea to create one function that just brings one result, even in the DB class. But no matter, this is fine. We can just put a 0 here and get the first result. This should do the trick. Okay, so there we go. All right, so back here, we have access to everything, okay, as admin, but not as user. So we need to log in as a different user. I'll sign up. So let me try that sign up process real quickly here. Let me log out and let's sign up. Mary, like that. Let's put Mary at email.com. We'll just use the same password and repeat password. agree to our terms and create an account. Please log in. Okay, cool. Let's try Mary and log in. Very nice. Now let's go to our dashboard, and you see there's a limit on what I can see here as Mary, but not as admin. Okay, so far so good. Now all we need is to copy all that to each and every item here to limit access to whatever we want. So this can be accessed by users, admins, etc., etc. All right, so I'll see you in the next video.